CFL Winter Meetings 2023 one-on-one with Winnipeg Blue Bombers General Manager Kyle Walters. Kyle, I have to ask you right off the top because I think it's top of mind for a lot of Blue Bombers fans and even people around the league. Okay. The last two times that you and Mike O'Shea have signed contract extensions, or that he has at least, you've been together, all three of you, with President Wade Miller. This time around, it was just Wade Miller and Mike O'Shea. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, this is our 10th year as a 10th year as a group together, and every other year that I recall, when there's been contract extensions, Mike and I would have contract extensions. Wade would work through both of ours. We'd sit at that table, and the announcement would be, "We've extended Mike, we've extended Kyle, and move on." It was this year there was no contract extension for myself, so I didn't want it to be a distraction on Mike's day. Mike was getting a contract extension. There was no extension for me. So it seemed like it would have been a little bit awkward at the moment to have to answer those questions at that particular time. So, there was never a thought from Wade to say you should be at this press conference because of that. And, it turns out I was away. Jacqueline, my wife, had some work in Miami Beach, so I tagged along with her, and it got announced during that time. But whether I was in Winnipeg or Miami, it just didn't make sense for me to be sitting at that table having to answer questions about my lack of contract extension while we were announcing Mike's contract.
And Mike was asked a bunch of contract questions throughout 2022 and even before the Grey Cup, because he was in the last year of his deal, but he felt like it would play itself out. So how do you feel like yourself going into that final year of your contract?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's, I'll be working through the last year of my contract and, focus on putting the best team together we can this year and see if we can make a run at a fourth Grey Cup in a row appearance. And we'll sit down after the season and sit with the family and sit with Wade and try to figure out what the best plan for our future is.
You've already been working away on that team that's going to be on the field in 2023. Zach Calero signed an extension, gets a little bump, but still continues to be the CFL's highest paid player. Stanley Bryan has been re-signed. Patty Newfield. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody else. Willie Jefferson. Are there any other guys that you think are close? The big ones I think people out there would probably want to know about. Jackson Jeffcoat?
Yeah, there's, I think there'll be a few more, Jackson being one of them. I think in the next couple of weeks, I anticipate a few more guys being announced. Said the difference this year, after going through what we went through last year with the Grey Cup ending in December, and then all the free agents that everybody has now with the one-year contract, so many free agents, it was unbearable, those, the 6 weeks trying to get everybody signed and worrying about Zach's contract and where's his price point and trying to get the high price guys or the other high price guys back under contract, which set the wheels in motion. So I decided this year to at least get some irons in the fire during the bye weeks, talk with agents, talk with players, see if we can get a rough idea of numbers rolling, not a ton of agreed upon contracts, but just making December a lot more efficient. And I think that will continue into January, where we'll get majority of our core guys back under contract and then sort of figure out how to, finish off the roster.
Dalton Jones, the league's most outstanding rookie in 2022, has had multiple NFL workouts. Do you see him signing a contract down there, or what's your feel based on talking to NFL people?
That's an interesting one because, Terrell Ford, unlike Terrell Ford, who was an unknown, who Terrell just signed with the Packers. I mean, he was an unknown coming out of Waterloo. He goes to his pro day and blows the lid off and tests phenomenally. Doesn't get an opportunity. So all the NFL teams circled back and look at these pro day numbers and now, okay, here's a young guy that tests like an NFL player. He's got a year of pro football under his belt. Let's give him an opportunity that he didn't get last year. Dalton, the NFL teams were familiar with him. They studied him coming out and familiar with him, and he had his opportunity. And now, though, he's put together such a phenomenal year on film that I think they're going to spend a little bit more time evaluating film. I'm quite certain nobody watched Terrell cover a punt this year or a kickoff and said, that's the guy, that's the guy based on what he did in the CFL this year. It's more, here's his pro day numbers. He's now a year older, got a year of pro football under his belt. Let's give him a chance. Dalton, I think there'll be a lot more evaluation into the film this year, and the NFL guys saying, well, what did maybe we miss from an on-field standpoint that can that translate into the NFL, what he did up there? So that may take a little bit longer, but I'm not sure.
What did the Bombers see in him, and what do you think his standout traits could be if he did get a chance to go to the NFL?
Yeah, you know what, Danny saw him at a camp and did some good things, and he showed up, and there's so many bodies at a CFL training camp. Your question, how do you differentiate yourself? It's, well, he learned the playbook. He's very smart, and he took every rep. He's very fit. So very smart and very fit, and just got better and better and better, and learned all the positions, and Zach trusted him, Buck trusted him, and as I said, he never missed a damn snap the entire training camp. So he won the job by performing at that level all through training camp and never making a mental mistake. So, I think the NFL is going to have to learn, can he do that stuff being on the line against a press corner? Can he get himself open in zone? Like can he win in man like you need to do now in the NFL? And that will be for them to decide. He certainly took advantage of the CFL rules to have an exceptional year, and now I'm sure the NFL guys are saying, does his skill set that allowed him to have success in the CFL translate to the NFL? And that's, I guess, for them to decide.
Using Dalton Jones as an example, can you take us behind the scenes what happens in terms of the NFL teams gathering background information and talking to you? Because you have a contacts with guys down there as well, and they want an honest assessment. So what are those conversations like, with Sean being the example?
Yeah, when they call up, it's just, they know they've done all their work on him. Like there was a little bit more with Terrell because he was kind of an unknown. Like Dalton had gone through the process, and the easy thing for both those guys are they're outstanding young men. They quiet, they don't say much, they just work hard and put the work in, and that's it. There's not a bad word you can say about them, either one of them, from a character standpoint.
You've had multiple guys go through that process now, so are you just used to it in terms of planning for Sean maybe leaving or maybe being back?
Yeah, there's there's the with losing your Canadians, it's like, hey, that's going to be tough. How do you replace? We were going into next year, and Terrell was, after the after-season meetings, he's earned the right to come in and compete with any American to start at corner, and even if he doesn't win a starting job, he's certainly good enough to be the get you out of a game corner, the next guy in, which frees up a DI from the secondary to maybe move somewhere else. And now you're looking at your roster going, well, now that's a fairly important piece for both of those reasons gone. And that's not, you just don't draft a Terrell Ford every year. Like, that's not realistic. So that puts a bit of a hole in there. And then when you look at Dalton Jones, it's like, well, yeah, we've had, first year players come in and contribute, but the expectation that, all those yardage can be replaced by a first year contract is pretty unlikely. So yeah, there's a little bit of, both of those guys have, with Terrell leaving for that and the potential of Dalton leaving does raise some concerns on the overall roster and what it's going to look like next year for sure.
Drew Brown is a guy that's under contract for you guys next year. He should be back, but I'm curious, based on how he played last year, have you had any trade offers or calls, inquiries on Brown with teams looking to fill that quarterback
No,
spot?
nothing yet. Nothing on Drew yet.
And do you think that will come, or do you feel like he'll be with the Bombers?
I feel he'll be with the Bombers. As I said, I think there's a whole, on the quarterback market this year, there's going to be a whole lot to shake down in the next month and a half. So we'll see after that, maybe teams, but I think there's a lot of teams trying to figure out exactly what their quarterback position looks like. And then after that, maybe some calls on Drew, but I think there's a lot of, as I said, it'll be very interesting in our league, and I'm happy I can sit back and watch this year and not have to partake in all of that.
And how would you analyze Drew Brown in terms of his upside in the future? And you must be really comfortable having him as your number two.
Yeah, he's, it showed right from that first game where he went in there and, and no snaps and goes in there and puts a little drive together and wins the game. And then, he got a few more snaps this year and he's getting more comfortable. And it's like a lot of young quarterbacks that they just need some time and reps. And he's progressing nicely. And there's just a confidence about him. And, being in that quarterback room with Zach and seeing the preparation that's needed to succeed as a quarterback in this league. He's getting that firsthand. He's getting great coaching from Buck, and we'll see. He'll just hopefully he just continues to grow. And there is that something about him though. There's that confidence and that moxie that you need to be a successful quarterback, and he has it. That's for sure.
Are the Bombers a dynasty?
No, I mean I guess that's for public to look back. I still look at the Edmonton as the dynasty, where they won however many, 5 in a row. I mean, that's it's hard to, when there's already a dynasty in the CFL, it's hard to call yourself a dynasty until you do something better than the dynasty. In Edmonton has kind of laid the groundwork of, wow, until you're there, I don't know that you deserve to call yourself anything other than you haven't done what Edmonton did back in the day.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that you've been with the Bombers now going into your 13th season.
Yeah, 13 years in the organization.
Could you envision back then, now having 2 Grey Cups on your resume, having gone to 3 straight, and becoming the model franchise in the CFL?
Well, no. I mean, I remember Paul Lapalisse hired me on as a specialty. So I was a head coach at Guelph, and Paul hired me here as 2010. And my special teams coordinator, the very first play of my special teams coaching career, opening game of the year, we kick off and they run it back for a touchdown. So to answer your question, yes, it's come quite a long ways from some of those years, the early years, and we had success. We went to a Grey Cup with Paul, and then had some down times, and we weren't particularly good when Wade took over and hired me, and I hired Mike. We weren't real good back then, but we've built this thing up properly and drafted well and put the quality of individuals that in the locker room that we need to succeed, and it's been rewarding, and I'm proud of what we've done organizationally to take it from where we started to where we are now. Is we're proud of that for sure.
Yeah, lots of people are curious to see if you can keep it going. Thanks for sharing some time in the mountains.
For sure.